This is the all-new generation of the Audi A1, so the smallest Audi member. We will show you not only this car, also a different color with a different styling, and also tell you something about what does it have to do with the Sport Quattro from 1984. And of course, all the details on exterior, interior, and what we can expect from driving this vehicle will be on Autogefühl, your number one resource for in-depth car reviews, and your number one community to discuss cars. Today with Thomas, in Full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go! Looking at the front, it looks really massive. We are in the small car segment and they have picked a very wide front grille, also with a lot of gaps in between there. Not sure if it's so good for birds that you could probably catch with those, so always drive safe. You can see here we got the Audi rings in the classic style right there, and then this part above here, this is the quotation from the Sport Quattro model from 1984. We'll soon take a look at how it really resembles the old model. This car is also equipped with the S-Line, that means with a stronger spoiler in the lower part, and we also see some more details at the side profile very soon. Also those headlights, you can see the LED daytime running light signature. It's basically split, so pretty spectacular. Base comes with halogen headlights. Then you can pick the optional full LED headlamps. And they then also include this LED daytime running light in the special structure. So, sorry, you can't get it from the base version, but that's usually the strategy. You have to pay a lot of extras, but then you also get this very cool effect. 4.03 meters or 13'2" is the total length of the all-new A1. That's about 6 centimeters longer. So not only a couple of centimeters wider, overall the car has grown in size. I'll soon show you a detailed look at another color if you say, wow, this color is really too much for me. But what is interesting is that you can really see the contrast roof color here. You can get one in black or in gray, or just remain with no contrast roof in vehicle color. Rims start from 15" and go up to 18". This is the biggest one available here. Also with contrasting brake calipers. Here you can see the S-Line logo. Also then with a bigger spoiler in the lower part. Again, it is available in contrast color, but also in vehicle color if you prefer that, if it's, a little bit more subtle then. Also, the C-pillar is very prominent right here, and this car is also sitting on the MQB A0 platform, for example, also the new Volkswagen Polo sits on, or the Seat Ibiza, and therefore they also share some components, but Audi has also changed some components, especially infotainment-wise. We'll soon explain you more of those, but the platform is the same, and therefore also only available as a 5-door version. So when you say A1 Sportback, as it's called, it's always remaining the same. So before, the Sportback was saying, hey, I'm the 5-door. Now it's always the 5-door, but it's always called A1 Sportback. For a small vehicle, this car not only has very wide shoulders, but also then again very expressive taillights. They also come with this LED lighting package that you have it in a very attractive structure right there. Also then with this cascading turning indicator light, and I would like to hear your opinion about that. Do you think it's really cool and fancy, or would you say, I know, looking at it longer, it becomes a little bit, too much or something? What's your take on that? Also, we see real exhaust tip on the lower part because this is the top engine that is available. I'll soon tell you everything you need to know about the engines, of course. What do you think about the design? I think we'll take a look at another vehicle. So this car is Chronos Grey in color, also has a contrasting roof and also is equipped with the S-Line. But it's a special launch edition model. Therefore, for example, the Audi rings come in black. You cannot, I just asked it, you cannot get it later without the launch edition model. Maybe would be an element which some customers would be looking for. But maybe if you give the feedback to Audi, they'll maybe think again about it. So what do you think? Which color would you prefer so far? And do you like this very aggressive style they've taken with the all-new Audi A1? And from here you can also see how this rear wing laps over. Also again the dark Audi logo and the A1 button. Maybe some third-party company will offer that one, maybe, as when Audi doesn't. Just my expectation. And in the lower part you can see when you do not have the top engine, you also do not have a real exhaust tip. And I think it's good that they are not displaying fake exhaust. That would be too much. So I think just using design elements at the lower part, and again, for a small car, again, a very strong and aggressive design in the rear. And what do you think about those copper design wheels? They look also very special, don't they? And this is the model from 1984. And did you see the quotation, what they did? Here, this top part, right here, this air intake, we see it in a rather subtle style at the all-new model. Would you have seen it if I didn't tell you? I'm not exactly sure about that. But what I like most with this model is this contrast of red and white wheels. And I heard you are also able to get that one for the all-new A1 as a special design. Engines, all petrol, and what is very important to me, also all with particle filters. It starts with a 1 liter 3-cylinder, either with 95 or 116 horsepower. Pay attention, the 95 base engine will come with drum brakes in the rear. All others then disc brakes. Then, next step would be a 1.5 liter 4-cylinder with 150 horsepower, the only one with COD, cylinder on demand technology, with a 2-cylinder shut-off to save some more fuel. And the top engine, the one that is displayed right here, a 2 liter 4-cylinder, then with 200 horsepower. Overall, the transmission options, either manual or the DSG or S-tronic it's called here at Audi. This is a dual clutch transmission, so you have that for all engines available to go for the manual or the automatic then. And this one here, the strongest one, comes, if you want some more technical information, this one here comes with a wet clutch in the S-tronic, the other ones with a dry clutch. The dry clutch is a little bit, it takes more stress because it's more durable. With a wet clutch, a little bit more oil is being used when you have a lot of power. For the dry ones with less power, it's not really needed, at least Audi says so. And now let's get inside and we'll start with this vehicle. First of all, door closing sound. That sounds pretty solid. And new is also that you can combine exterior and interior designs freely. So you're not bound that you want to take, for example, S-line exterior, you also have to take it interior. Here also we have another line on the interior, so you can really pick that freely now. At the inside of the doors, this is a MQB A0 like in the new Polo or the Ibiza, and one of the floors of this car is hard plastic. I say that as a car expert. Some might say I don't care, but I can just mention it that it's the way it is. Just the part here for the armrest, that one is soft, and that's of course then the important part because your elbow is relying on that. You can also put bigger bottles right here in the lower part. Optional Bang & Olufsen sound system with 11 speakers is the maximum setup you can get. Then you can see a nice ambient light here in red, which is absolutely not fitting to the yellow interior color right here. But that one is also a special feature. You can get a yellow tone, a mint green tone, a copper tone, but also just gray or black for those design elements. This one here featuring also the exterior color to be a little bit more joyful. Then a very sporty steering wheel here too. And it reminds us already of some bigger Audi cars. Soon more details to those digital instruments, how they work. And then take a look at the seats. Very interesting because we have a nice fabric setup here. Also, very much screaming out. So Audi is going for the less boring way and more individual. Also with contrast stitches at the side, for example, and you can see those seats are already very sporty. You can also get Alcantara, for example, or also leatherette on the outside, and one of the very rare cars where Audi plays with leatherette instead of animal skin when they use it on the outer parts. So I think it is a way to go. They should also do that with their bigger cars. And let me get inside, see how that one plays out. So I'm 1.86 m or 6'1" in height. There's no panoramic roof here. And there's still some headroom left, so for tall people, no problem. You still feel somewhat that it's a small car, so you feel a little bit more cringed than in a compact vehicle, because the seat is also falling back So I usually put it a little bit higher here, that the pelvis is more upright, but you can see this seat here moves up as a whole mainly. It's also not too long. So yes, it works for tall people, but of course bigger cars also give you some more comfort. You can very well adjust the steering wheel right here. That's also very well done. See how smooth it is that I can even do it just with one hand. Very interesting. So, and what I can always see here, zoom also from another perspective, everything is leaned towards the driver. So it is indeed a driver-focused car. Audi wants to do with this car to make the entry car one of the sportiest one. And here it is, the interior overview, and wow, they are really daring this time. So you can see how it's turned towards me, the infotainment system. I can see that better as a driver then. I think it takes away some room from the co-driver, however, but I like it that they just took a daring approach. The AC unit is still manual and with this nice clicking sound. So that's typical for Audi, and also different to the bigger Audi cars that are all new, where they have the climate unit then integrated in the screen. This compact steering wheel then again, here sporty way also with some structure in the side parts. And as for those screens, you have a 2-screen setup at the moment here, and it always comes with digital instruments as well. It just starts with a 10.25-inch screen. It would be a little bit smaller then, and with hardly any functionality. That's the key to get more money from you, because optional then you get the 12.3-inch screen, the Audi virtual cockpit, which you can see here, and also with all the functionality we can see there. And on the right side, it starts with an 8.8-inch screen, a smaller one, and optional then with this one here, 10.1-inch screen. And then when you also have the GPS with the bigger screen, it also comes as a combination with the bigger screen on the left. That looks pretty fancy, but of course will also be very expensive. Now deals to the infotainment. You can connect your phone either via Bluetooth, here with a touchscreen, or can also use the smartphone mirroring function, then with in the lower left part, then with Apple CarPlay and stuff. Then this is just the main menu. You can see here. Let's take a look at the GPS. You can also get the satellite view. You see it's very responsive because this bigger screen has the CPU unit, the same as in the Audi A7 or in the A8. This is the key of this vehicle, that it also gets upper class features in this respect. Pretty impressive. And you can also have the Audi Drive Select for the adaptive dampers, because you can get the base suspension, a normal sport suspension, and then this one, the adaptive sport suspension, where we then also can pick different damping rates, make it stiffer or make it a little bit less stiff again. And in the virtual cockpit, I can zoom in and out with thumb on the steering wheel. I can also change the view to have the instruments a little bit bigger then. I can also have phone information in there, or also driving data. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's when you drive the car in the studio. Of course, this is not really a realistic consumption figure. Then let's take a look at the classic instruments, because you can also change the complete style. So in the lower middle part, you have 2 USB slots, and this is also a solution. Mercedes recently has just USB-C. Audi says, we offer the standard one and the USB-C, so maybe that's a good transition then. In the lower part, there's a room for your smartphone, also with inductive charging available. And this one in here, the automatic gear lever, because here also the biggest engine always comes with this one. There you cannot pick then for the manual, the other ones manual or this automatic gearbox. And the volume knob is still present here in the lower part, because a lot of customers demand to still have the volume knob. But it can be better reached from the co-driver side, I guess. So next to this yellow decoy element, you can see the cup holes. They're not adaptive, so bottles are not really hold tight there. But what is fixedly tight is this armrest, great build quality. But then underneath it, there's hardly any room to put anything. And let's get in the rear, and you can already see that the rear legroom is not the strength of the Audi A1. I do hit my knees here. It's a soft back, so it works, but I wouldn't really like to sit here. And well, the seats are quite voluminous. That's maybe one of the reasons, because other cars in the MQB A0 platform, like the Seat Ibiza or the Volkswagen Polo, the new one, they have more legroom here in the rear. I have the seat as I would be driving as a tall person, so if you're a little bit smaller as a driver, it's not too big of a problem, but again, rear legroom, not a specialty of this vehicle. Headroom, however, that also works for tall people in the rear. That's still okay. We also have the same styling here for the rear seats. This is still possible here to sit with 3 people, but of course with the middle tunnel here, yeah, it's not easy to sit there with 3 people, so mainly set up for 2 people, and they shouldn't be too tall. Child idle fixed covers here is also possible. You can fix child seats here, although the rear door doesn't open too wide. So I guess the rear here, although the car has been a little bit longer, is not something where they pay too much attention to. Instead, Audi said, well, most people won't drive this car with 4 people anyway, so let's focus on the 2 people in the front and make the trunk a little bit larger. 335 liters, that's 65 liters more in volume than before, and you really can see that already. That is very well usable. However, those shoulder lines and also the flat roof here in the rear reduce the height especially. But I think that's a step forward if you compare it to the predecessor. You also can put this loading cover in a lower position. Then you do have, well, it's not too easy to do just spontaneously. Here we go, yeah. But that's live, that's authentic. Here you have a little bit more height then, but of course a higher loading sill. And if you then flip the seat, you can get a maximum loading capacity of 1090 liters, like this, with a 1/3, 2/3 split. And you always like to have a Thomas workout here when flipping seats, and no third seating row here today. But here we go. This is then the maximum loading setup for you. This is, by the way, the key, a standard Volkswagen AG key, just it has a small Audi logo right there. And also to show you another interior styling element, well, those are the optional animal skin seats here. You do not have to pay money for. They are, of course, available still with Audi, but as I said earlier, they also use leatherette elements in other seat and fabric and Alcantara mixtures. But I want to show you this one here because of the color variation. This is the edition one with those copper elements, but you can see that you do not have to go for yellow all in the car. You can also have it more subtle, more in gray tones, for example. I think this one will be the version where more people would go for color-wise. What do you think? Would you have to have the interior more screaming out or more subtle? Which interior type are you? Well, my favorite feature here would be the steering wheel with a flat bottom. Also leaves some more room for your legs. And something more I just discovered here, because I talked about, materials and how the inside of the door is all hard. But when we take a look at the dashboard there, this also has a structure, and the dashboard here is a little bit soft touch. I think it's actually a quite cool idea to get it some more structure then as well. Here also soft touch on the top part of the instruments. And now to our conclusion for today with the all-new Audi A1. Well, the exterior styling is really aggressive now, and what I've found best with that is that they take a daring approach, because so far a lot of Audi vehicles were, perfectly executed, very well done and so on, but sometimes quite boring. This one changes it here now. Very sporty, very aggressive styling, of course, even more with the S-Line. The normal lines will be a little bit more subtle, also with the front, but the size of the grille, for example, will already remain the same. The interior is also a good build quality. Maybe the inside of the doors that could be fixed a little bit better than with a soft touch material. The seating comfort is quite okay. To be honest, for a tall person, I think this is not the very right segment. At least I can say so for me. Maybe you're a little bit different in that respect. Also look forward to your comments to that. Infotainment system-wise, this is really an upper-class fest. So really a lot of features. Also the same CPU unit with the base equipment. Then infotainment-wise, you already get digitalization, but then not so many features. In the rear, there's not so much room left. That's one feature. You cannot cover all at the same time. But then again, this car is features also more for one driver or two driver. And then they also made the trunk a little bit larger. This is, I think, the most important practicality feature of this vehicle. Looking forward also to drive this one, because Audi promises that it will be even sportier than before, and especially with the top engine we mentioned for you here today, I think we can also have a lot of fun with this vehicle. And it might also be a reason to say then, when this one then is sportier than the A3, for example, to stay in a segment lower, because price-wise, this one really can connect to the segments above that. It will again start below 20,000 euros, but then you can easily get it up to over 30,000 euros, with the S-Line and the bigger engines. And then this car will be in price regions where you usually buy a compact segment car or even a compact SUV. That's the only thing, that is probably the biggest downside of this car, and probably always a problem with Audi. But all premium manufacturers get really high prices, but sometimes then there are also good leasing offers, so you have to see how you get along with that. Looking forward now to your feedback about this new Audi A1, and also see you next time at Autogefühl.